Amazing transformation. How a poor girl's dress struggle revealed true love with a millionaire CEO. Ella stood in front of the mirror, her heart racing. The thrift store dress hung loosely on her frame, fraying at the edges. She tugged at the fabric, wishing it were a miniature version of the glitzy gowns she'd seen on the glossy pages of magazines. The annual charity gala loomed like a far-off dream. Could she? No. Would she really go? It wasn't just about the event. It was a tribute to her father's legacy, a chance to shine a light on the good he had done. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Ella, we're just getting by." Those words rumbled like distant thunder in the storm of her thoughts. As she closed her eyes, memories of her father swirled around her, his laugh, his advice on kindness, his unwavering belief in community service. The tears brimmed, but she pushed them away. She couldn't afford to break down, not now. At the diner, every order she took felt like a promise. Each tip tucked away contributed to their household, every drop of sweat a testament to her resolve. Yet the gala felt like a brick wall. What would she wear? How could she pocket a little luxury with so little to give? She imagined the other guests, their polished shoes and flawless smiles. It was the kind of world so far removed from her own. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With borrowed pieces from her sister, she finally pieced together an outfit. The dress was still frayed, but she added a belt that tightened her waist. Standing taller in those worn-out boots, she felt a spark ignite within her. The night of the gala arrived, and she entered the grand hall with a mix of hope and trepidation. Her heart leaped when she spotted Jake across the room. He was the kind of millionaire you read about, successful, poised, but when their eyes met, time slowed. That connection shone brighter than diamonds. His world, cold and lonely, suddenly felt invaded by her warmth. But whispers followed her, shadowing her every step. "She's from the diner," they murmured, tainting the air. Scorn painted on faces turned Ella's cheeks crimson. She fought hard to drown out the judgment, reminding herself of her family's sacrifices. Then it hit. A wave of despair crashed over her at the thought of her family's reaction to this budding connection. Inside was a turmoil of emotions as Jake approached, revealing his ghosts, his vulnerability intertwined with her resilience. Could they really break the chasm of their worlds? As the evening reached its peak, Ella faced a decision that could alter her life forever. Would she risk it all for something possibly beautiful, or stay tethered to the bonds of family loyalty? The cost wasn't simply glitz, but happiness itself. In that moment of truth, she felt the weight of her heart and her family's hopes hanging in the balance. What choice would she make, and how could love bridge the gap? Ella's breath caught in her throat as Jake drew closer. He had this way of looking at her like she was the only person in the room, even as the clatter of high society hummed around them. Those whispers faded, replaced by a tentative silence that felt charged with possibility. "Ella, you look—" Jake paused, his eyes scanning her with an intensity that made her heart race. "You look incredible." Her cheeks flushed, warmth pooling in her chest. She felt beautiful, even in the thrifted fabric, but his words ignited something deeper. She smiled, fighting to hold on to that moment, pushing away the looming dread at the back of her mind. Thank you," Ella replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. There was so much more to say, yet the weight of choice pressed down on her. "Can we talk?" Jake asked softly. His gaze held a spark of sincerity that made her nod without thinking. As they stepped away from the crowd, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses faded. Ella led them to a quieter alcove, the shadows wrapping around them. The opulence of the gala felt distant now, replaced by a focus on just the two of them. "Ella, I'm glad you made it tonight," Jake said, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. "It's been different without you." "What do you mean?" she asked, heart racing with anticipation. He took a deep breath, as if summoning the courage to share a secret. "I've been thinking about what you said the other day, about how our worlds are different." There was a brief pause, the kind that made the air feel thick with unspoken words. "I know I live in a bubble, but I want to understand your world, the one I saw in the diner, and how you fight through it every day." His honesty left her momentarily speechless.
"You don't have to do that, Jake. Your life is so far from mine." Yet part of her ached at the thought of him trying to bridge that gap. He stepped closer, his sincerity radiating like heat. "But I want to. We can't change where we come from, but I believe we can forge a path together, can't we?" Ella's heart ached at the idea, but then her mother's voice echoed again in her mind, warning her of the dangers of expecting too much. "What would people think?" she whispered, torn between her fear and the spark of hope he ignited. "Let them think what they want," Jake replied fiercely, brushing a straight hair from her face. "What matters is what we feel. Our hearts should define our story, not their judgments." Ella's breath hitched.
His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket on a cold night. But then doubt crashed back in like a sudden storm. "Jake, I don't want to hurt my family. They've sacrificed so much. Isn't it about time to live for yourself?" He countered gently but firmly. "You deserve happiness, Ella, whatever that looks like." With her heart pounding, Ella heard the unspoken question hanging between them. Could she truly take a leap of faith into the unknown? As she weighed the lengths of their worlds against her love for her family, she felt the pull of something raw and real within her. Suddenly, the laughter at the gala echoed back to her. Would she step into the light and embrace what could be? Or would she pull back, hiding from the very chance of happiness she craved? Testing fate didn't seem easy, but perhaps this was the moment she needed to redefine her narrative. Ella took in a deep breath, raising her chin. "Let's do it, Jake. Let's take a chance." Just as hope began to blossom, a sharp voice became audible over the crowd, piercing the fragile bubble they had surrounded themselves with. "What are you doing here, Ella? You don't belong." The voice belonged to a familiar enemy, and Ella's heart lurched. How would she respond to that hostility? What would her choice unveil amidst the judgment? And could love truly conquer all? Ella's heart raced, the words hitting her like a cold wave. Her instincts urged her to retreat, to fade back into the anonymity of the crowd that had once felt like a safe harbor. But Jake was beside her, his warm presence challenging the chill that gripped her. "Who said that?" Jake asked, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of protectiveness. Ella turned her head, searching the vibrancy of faces, landing on the sharp expression of Amanda, a girl from her high school. The sight of Amanda, arms crossed and lips curled in disdain, made Ella's stomach drop. "Just leave me alone, Amanda," Ella replied, her voice a fragile whisper. "Leave you alone? I just think it's hilarious you think you can mingle with the elite." Amanda's laughter rang out, loud and derisive. A few heads turned, curiosity pricking the air like needles. Jake's jaw clenched, and for a moment, Ella feared he might lash out. But instead he held her gaze, grounding her amidst the chaos. "You do belong here, Ella. You deserve to be here just as much as anyone else. Don't let her words cut you." His support sparked a fire inside her. She allowed herself to take a deep breath, feeling the weight of judgments lessening, if only for a moment. "You're right," Ella said, her voice stronger now. "Amanda, I'm not here for your approval. I'm here because I want to be." The edge in Amanda's expression softened slightly, surprise flickering across her face. It was rare for anyone to stand up to her, especially in such a lavish setting. But Ella's heart was pounding with newfound courage. With Jake by her side, she felt emboldened, even exhilarated.
The tension in the alcove crackled, and the surrounding murmurs grew louder, curious spectators tuning in to the unfolding scene. Ella stood tall, each heartbeat echoing the rhythm of brave resolve. "I'm here to appreciate the world around me, not to fit into your definition of who I should be." Amanda's laughter faltered, replaced with surprise. "Who do you think you're fooling?" "I'm not fooling anyone, Amanda. I'm finally being myself." The words spilled out, each one igniting a deeper sense of self-acceptance within her. A flicker of admiration crossed Jake's face, lighting up the shadows. "That's it, Ella. Speak your truth." As the laughter around them faded into whispers, Ella felt the world shift. Maybe she had been running from herself for too long. Perhaps this moment was what she needed to understand her place in both their worlds. Amanda narrowed her eyes, her facade slipping. "You might think you can be part of this world, but let's see how long that lasts." With that, she turned and strode away, leaving the crowd buzzing with a mix of shock and intrigue. Jake turned to Ella, his eyes shining with pride. "You did that. You stood up for yourself. I'm proud of you." The warmth between them was palpable, a connection that felt like a promise. "But what if they never accept me?" she asked, vulnerability slipping back in. "What if I'm just kidding myself?" It doesn't matter, he assured, stepping even closer. What matters is how you feel about yourself. Don't let their words dictate your worth. Ella could feel the heat rising within her, a small flame catalyzing its way into something more. Maybe this is my chance to redefine my story. As the sounds of laughter and music flowed back to them, filling the moment with life again, Ella realized it was more than just the gala. It was about shedding the chains of insecurity and embracing who she truly was. "Let's move back into the crowd," Jake said, squeezing her hand gently as they started walking together. But just as the noise enveloped them, another voice cut through, sharper and more authoritative this time. "Ella, you need to listen to me. We have to talk." She turned and met the hard gaze of her mother, standing like a sentinel near the entrance, eyes wild with worry and disapproval. The tension that momentarily melted away came rushing back, but now it was mingled with fear. What would her mother say? Would she push her back into the shadows she desperately wanted to leave behind? Ella's thoughts whirled as her mother marched toward them, every possibility laying heavy in the air. Would this confrontation change everything? Ella's pulse quickened as her mother closed the distance, an imposing figure against the backdrop of the glitzy gala. The laughter and music faded into a dull hum, the air thick with apprehension. "Ella, we need to talk right now."
"This isn't the place for this," her mother insisted, her voice low but filled with urgency, sharp enough to slice through the frivolity around them. Ella felt the color drain from her face. "Mom, not here," she whispered, her gaze flickering back to Jake, who looked equally concerned. "No, Ella, you need to listen to me." Her mother stepped closer, blocking Jake from her view, tension radiating off her like heat from a furnace. "This isn't where you belong. You will embarrass yourself." "Stop it!" Ella's voice rose, drawing gazes from people nearby. "I've embarrassed myself for too long. I'm done with that." Jake took a step forward, ready to support her, but her mother held up a hand, silencing him. "You think you can just waltz in here? You don't fit in with these people. You're not one of them," she spat, the disdain palpable in every syllable. A lump formed in Ella's throat. Did her mother truly believe that? That she hadn't earned her place here? That she was still just the girl from the other side of town? The realization pushed against her chest like a tight band. "I don't want to fit into someone else's idea of who I should be," she declared, her voice trembling but sincere. "I'm finding my own way." At that moment, she felt grounded by Jake's presence beside her, a quiet reassurance wrapping around her like a warm blanket. He was still there, watching, supportive. "Ella, I'm proud of you," he whispered, and his words lit a fire in her. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't belong to this world," Ella continued, her heart pounding with each word. "But I'm not going to let you or anyone else define what that means." Her mother stepped back, disbelief flashing across her face. "You think a dress and a few social events will change who you are? You'll always be—" She paused, struggling to find the words that would hurt the most. "Mom, enough." Ella's voice cracked as she fought to keep the tears at bay, gripping Jake's hand tighter. "I'm not the person who hides in the shadows anymore. I'm proud of who I am, and if you can't support that, I don't know what to say." The crowd around them began to murmur, some faces a mix of intrigue and judgment. Ella felt corners of her mind, nestled in fear and uncertainty, began to unravel. She either had to unite her identity with her mother's expectations or finally break free to be her own person. Her mother's brow furrowed in frustration, the battle between love and control evident. "This is all a mistake. You need to stop this before it gets out of hand, Ella. This isn't you," she said, her voice lowering to a harsh whisper, filled with exhaustion. Before Ella could respond, another voice cut in. "Let her make her own decisions." It was a friend from school, a girl who had once looked past the surface to see the person underneath. The room shifted, eyes slowly turning to the newcomer, adding weight to the conversation.
"People deserve to choose who they want to be, even if it's different from what others expect," she continued, her tone supportive yet firm. Ella's heart pounded. Had she really started something here? Maybe Amanda's laugh had been the last chuckle she would hear. She felt Jake's hand tighten around hers, his warmth reassuring. Was that support transformative enough for her to redefine everything? The room seemed to lean in, eager for what might come next. "Ella," her mother began, but Ella interrupted. "I'll figure it out, Mom. I really will." Was it true? Could she really be brave enough to create her own path? Her mother's expression shifted, caught between disbelief and an inkling of admiration. As the crowd began to buzz with chatter again, full of their own speculation and opinions, Ella held her breath. If this was the moment she chose to break free, what would that mean for her future? What if her mother never understood? Before she could spiral down that thought, Jake squeezed her hand once more. "You've got this, Ella." But what would happen when they stepped away from this crowd? Would the world outside this gala accept her newfound courage, or would the shadows of her past drag her back in? The moment of silence that stretched between Ella and her mother felt almost tangible, like smoke that hovered in the air, thick with unresolved tension. Ella could see the flicker of disbelief in her mother's eyes, but alongside it there was something else, perhaps fear? The sounds of the gala swirled around her, music and laughter folding in and out like waves. Each wave crashed against Ella's resolve. Did she truly have the strength to stand her ground? From the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of Amanda, nodding thoughtfully, eyes sparkling with approval. It was a small gesture, but it fueled Ella's determination. She straightened her back, refusing to let her mother's words penetrate the new armor she was constructing for herself. "Let's go, Ella," Jake urged gently, tugging at her hand. His sincerity uplifted her spirits, but with every step she hesitated, glancing back toward her mother, whose expression had shifted to one of quiet desperation. "Ella," her mother began again, her voice softer this time, almost like a plea. "I just want what's best for you. You don't have to do this." Ella's heart ached at the sound of her mother's voice, a mixture of love and barbed expectations filling the empty spaces. "But you don't see what's best for me," she countered, knowing her words might sting, yet feeling them rise unbidden. "You see what you want from me." "Ella," another voice broke through the tension. "Danny, a popular guy from school. You really shouldn't let her drag you down. Be your own person, man." The crowd shifted, intrigued by the unexpected alliance. The whispers grew louder, curiosity and judgment mingling together, and Ella felt her face flush. They were watching.
All these faces, once blurry from the shadows, were now vivid and crystal clear in their judgment. But something in her reshaped the sparks of anxiety into sparks of something else. Anger. Anger at her situation. Anger that she had ever felt insignificant. "And what if I make mistakes?" she shot back, not just at her mother, but at the world confronting her. "What if I fail? Isn't that part of growing up? Learning who I am?" The truth felt exhilarating, a massive weight lifted off her chest. She wasn't just fighting to defend herself, she was fighting for her right to exist unfettered by preconceptions. The moment hung in the air, everyone seemingly caught in her revelation. Ella pressed forward, her voice steady. "I'm going to embrace my life, and I will fall and rise as many times as it takes. If that means risking your disappointment, then so be it." Her mother's expression wavered between anger and pain, and Ella hated that it had to be this way. Was she really prepared to break the ties that bound them? Every fiber of her being screamed that she needed to grow, to be free. As she stepped backward, away from the crowd, Jake's hand still held hers firmly, a lifeline. "You did it," he whispered, pride evident in his voice. Ella took a deep breath. "I think I need to go. I need air." Without waiting for a response, she turned, dragging Jake along. They pushed through the crowd, the walls of judgment melting into the background, leaving only the realism of the cool evening air at the gala's entrance. Once outside, Ella paused, the night sky stretching above her, a canvas of shimmering stars. "What now?" she asked, uncertain if she felt relief or fear. Jake looked at her, his expression serious. "Now we take the first step together." The truth nestled in Ella's heart, but it was joined with a question. What would that first step truly look like? Would it be as bright as the stars overhead, or would it hold shadows of her past? And with that thought, she realized they had no map, no guarantees, just the rawness of hope surging through her. The journey had begun, but she felt one weight growing heavier than the others, the need to confront her mother again someday and heal the rift between them. Could she truly do that? Could she find her way towards both her dreams and her mother's heart?
Ella took a deep breath, feeling the crisp night air fill her lungs. The stars above seemed to pulse with light, almost as if they were alive. She glanced at Jake, his face illuminated by the glow of the street lamps. His eyes held a mix of concern and unwavering support. "Do you think I made a mistake?" she asked, vulnerability creeping into her voice. The weight of her mother's disappointment felt like a stone in her chest. Jake shook his head, his grip tightening around her hand. "No way. You stood up for yourself. That takes courage." Ella wanted to believe him. Courage. The word echoed in her mind like a mantra she had never known she needed.
But in that moment, a small flicker of doubt ignited. What if standing up meant creating an unbridgeable gap with her mother? The shadows of her past loomed large, whispering uncertainties that clawed at her resolve. "Let's walk," she said suddenly, needing movement, needing to drown the unease. They started down the quiet street, the sounds of the gala replaced by the rustling of trees and the soft rhythm of their footsteps on the pavement. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" she asked, breaking the silence. "What if I want to be an artist, or travel, or—" She paused, her dreams feeling both limitless and terrifying. "What if I never figure it out?" "Then you just keep trying," Jake replied easily. "You don't have to have it all mapped out. Life is about finding what makes you happy, right?" He smiled, and even in the darkness, Ella could see the sincerity in his eyes. "That's easy for you to say," she replied, her voice tinged with frustration. "You're so sure of yourself." He paused to face her. "Trust me, I'm not as put together as you think." The vulnerability in his voice startled her. "I've had my own share of doubts. We all do. But that's what life is, a process of learning and growing from each step." Ella took in his words, letting them sink deep inside her. If Jake could face down his fears, what was stopping her? "You're right. I guess part of me is terrified of failing, of disappointing everyone." "Especially your mom," he said gently, his voice softening. "But she was just trying to protect you. Maybe she needs to learn that you'll always have your own path." "I know," she sighed. "I think I'm more afraid of losing her than failing at my dreams." Just then, the glow of a small cafe came into view. It was warm and inviting, a cozy refuge from the weight of their conversation. "Want to grab some hot chocolate?" Jake asked, sensing she needed a distraction. "Yeah, that sounds nice," Ella replied, grateful for the shift. They entered, and the rich smell of cocoa enveloped them, instantly lifting her spirits. As they sat at a small table, sipping their steaming drinks, Ella watched the world move outside. Couples walked by, laughter mingling with the soft music playing inside. In that moment, she felt a tiny bubble of happiness swell deep within her, a reminder that, yes, she was allowed to find joy amidst chaos. "Hey, Ella," Jake said, breaking her reverie. "Whatever happens, just know you're not alone. You don't have to face this by yourself." His sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket. A small smile crept to her lips. "Thanks, Jake. It means a lot." But deep down, she knew the hardest conversations were yet to come. Her mother's words still echoed in her mind, and the rift between them loomed large. What if it was too wide to bridge? The thought sent a chill through her. As they left the cafe, hand in hand, Ella looked up at the stars again. They felt closer now, shining brighter than ever, full of possibilities.
But still, a question hung in the air. How would she gather the courage to face her mother again and truly mend their relationship? What might she have to sacrifice to bridge that gap? The journey was just beginning, and with each step forward, she felt both trepidation and hope stirring within her. The sound of footsteps echoed in the quiet night as Ella and Jake made their way back to her home. Each step felt heavier than the last, not from fatigue, but from the weight of the impending conversation. She could almost picture the tension that awaited her behind the door, the unspoken words swirling in the air like fog. "Do you think we should talk about my mom?" Ella finally broke the silence, glancing at Jake with uncertainty. He hesitated, his eyes searching hers. "If you feel ready, then yes. But remember, it's okay to take your time." Ella took a deep breath, pulling in the crisp air, seeking some clarity. What if she doesn't understand? What if I ruin everything? Jake squeezed her hand tighter, urging her to look at him. "You won't know until you try, and I'll be right here with you through it all." His words injected some warmth into her chilling fears.
The closer they got to her house, the more Ella's heart raced. Memories of past arguments flitted through her mind, her mother's sharp words and disappointed glances. Every fight replayed like a familiar but painful movie, pushing her to the edge of retreat. Would standing up mean standing alone? When they reached her front porch, the glow from the inside spilled out, illuminating the lifelike shadows of who they were before stepping into that light. Ella turned to Jake, her heart pounding. What if it feels like a mistake? Then you learn from it, he said simply. Mistakes are part of figuring things out, remember? With a nod, Ella inhaled deeply one last time. The mixture of bravery and fear coiled inside her. She opened the door slowly, its familiar creak sounding like an alarm in the silence. Mom? She called out, her voice quavering slightly. Her mother's voice floated from the kitchen, weary but tinged with a hint of curiosity. I'm over here, Ella. The living room felt like it was holding its breath as Ella stepped inside. She spotted her mother, apron still tied around her waist, hands busy slicing a cucumber. The warmth of home wrapped around her, but it felt different, charged with tension, like static before a storm. Hey, Ella started. Words seemed to lock up in her throat, but she pushed on. Can we talk? Sure, sweetie. Her mother's voice was sweet, but the way she avoided eye contact betrayed some anxiety. Ella felt a knot tighten in her stomach. I wanted to explain about the gala and everything. Her mother set down the knife and turned to face her, concern etched in the lines on her forehead. Ella, No, please let me finish. Ella cut in, needing to forge the path. I know you want what's best for me, but I need to figure things out on my own.
I want to pursue art. And you think chasing a dream is more important than your future? Her mother's voice rose unintentionally, piercing through Ella's brave facade. I think fighting for my dreams makes me who I am, Ella shouted, the simmering emotions boiling over. Fear, frustration, and a desperate need to be understood crashed into one another. In that moment, everything shifted. Ella's heart raced, and she took a step closer, her eyes pleading for understanding. I don't want to lose you in the process, Mom. You mean the world to me, but I also mean something to myself. Her mother's expression softened, though shock lingered. The clamor of cooking moments muted into the background. Ella? But Ella was too wrapped in the moment, too caught up in her fear and her hopes. You can either support me or push me away. I can't keep pretending to be someone I'm not. Tension filled the room, hanging thick and heavy. The air felt thick with unspoken words and emotions just below the surface. Ella waited, unsure of what her mother would say, anxiety gnawing at her as she stood at the cliff's edge of this crucial moment in their relationship. As silence enveloped them, Ella clung to Jake's presence beside her, his strength grounding her. Yet all she could think was, had she stepped too far beyond the edge? Would this moment change everything, or would it tear them apart forever? The truth loomed, waiting impatiently to be unearthed. Ella's heart pounded like a drum in her chest, each beat a reminder of the monumental step she had just taken. The room felt suspended in air, alive but undeniably heavy. Her mother's silence was painted with shock, uncertainty flickering across her features like a candle in the wind. Mom, Ella whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. I need to know you're with me on this. Her mother blinked, as if waking from a deep sleep. Her gaze shifted from Ella to Jake and back again. I just wanted the best for you, she finally said, her voice shaking. I thought that meant security, stability. This dream of yours, it's risky. Ella felt the words wrap around her like a vine, squeezing tightly. I know it's unconventional. She understood where her mother was coming from. She had felt that very logic pounding in her own veins. But don't you see? It's my dream. It's my life. A flicker of something, understanding, passed through her mother's eyes. But what if it doesn't work out? I've seen people struggle. I can't bear to think of you getting hurt. The warmth in Ella's chest nudged her forward. But what if it does? What if I find joy? What if I find myself in the process? She reached out, her palm open. This isn't just about art to me. It's about living. The air grew thick, charged with all the unsaid things between them. Ella could see her mother's brows furrow as the weight of her daughter's words sank in. A battle waged behind those familiar eyes, torn between love and fear.
You have to promise me you'll be careful, her mother sighed, a gentle surrender creeping into her voice. I promise, Ella replied, relief washing over her like rain. But I need you to trust my choices, even if they scare you. For the first time, her mother stepped closer, a tear shimmering in her eye. You're so much stronger than I ever gave you credit for.
Ella's breath hitched. "I'm just trying to find my way." "I know," her mother said softly, wrapping her arms around Ella in a hug that felt warm and firm. The tension began to dissolve, the fog of uncertainty parting like clouds after a storm. "I'm proud of you," her mother whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "And I'll support your journey, however it looks." In that embrace, something shifted. A barrier that had stood between them for far too long crumbled. Ella felt lighter, as if a weight she had carried for years was being lifted away. Meanwhile, Jake stood slightly back, watching the exchange like a spectator at a miracle, his heart full. He knew Ella was stepping into a new chapter, and he felt lucky to be beside her. As they pulled apart, Ella wiped her eyes, a smile emerging despite the residual ache. "So, can we talk about the gala? I have some ideas that could incorporate my art." Just then, a loud knock echoed through the house, shattering the fragile new tranquility. They all turned toward the door, uncertainty creeping back in like shadows. Ella exchanged a glance with Jake, who raised an eyebrow, silently asking if she wanted him to stay. "Stay," she mouthed. The stakes had just risen again. Her mother looked apprehensive, but her voice steadied. Who could it be at this hour? As the door opened, Ella's breath caught. A figure stood silhouetted against the porch light, the outline familiar but unexpected. "Is this the right place?" the figure asked, taking a cautious step forward. Ella's heart raced again, anticipation mingling with dread. She could feel that this night, with its new beginnings and unresolved questions, was about to take another turn entirely. Who was standing there, and how would they impact everything she had just begun to reclaim? The truth was just beginning to unfold, and Ella braced herself for whatever came next. As the door creaked open wider, Ella's eyes adjusted to the figure standing just beyond the threshold. It was Dan, her childhood friend, looking disheveled yet familiar, uncertainty etched across his face. His appearance stirred a mix of emotions in her. He had been a constant part of her younger years, yet time had laid a distance between them. "Dan?" Ella's voice trembled slightly, caught between surprise and apprehension. "What are you doing here?" He took a deep breath, scanning the room before his gaze locked onto hers. "I know it's late, but I needed to see you. There's something important I have to tell you." Her heart raced, not just from shock, but from the nebulous cloud forming over their shared past.
Her mother's brows knitted together, concern radiating off her like heat from a fire. Jake stepped forward, instinctively positioning himself between Ella and Dan, the protective instinct flaring up. "Ella and I were just having a moment," he said firmly, crossing his arms. Dan raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "I didn't come here to cause trouble, man, I promise." Ella felt a swell of confusion, battling the urge to scramble for safety in her home's familiarity, while also feeling a deep-seated curiosity. She stepped around Jake, her resolve stronger than before. "Can we step outside? It's been a long night." Dan nodded, dropping his shoulders as he complied. They moved onto the porch, the cool evening air washing over them, bringing clarity. "Ella," he began, his voice heavy, "I've been meaning to reach out for a while. Since you decided to pursue your art, I've been impressed. I just didn't know how to. I didn't want to disrupt your journey." She hesitated. "You weren't disrupting anything. I just thought we grew apart." Dan looked pained, resting his hands on his hips. "I guess I thought if I kept my distance and stayed out of your way, it would be easier for you." A profound silence fell between them, punctuated only by the sounds of crickets. Ella's heart softened. She remembered the laughter, the shared secrets. There had once been a connection deeper than friendship. "Why are you really here, Dan?" she pressed, breath hitching as new fears blossomed. "Is it about something else?" He took a step closer. "I came back because I realized I never stopped caring about you. I'm not just your childhood friend anymore. I've changed. And, well, things have changed for me too." The vulnerability in his voice pulled at her heartstrings. "Changed how?" "My family found some financial success. I've been working for a startup, and I'm helping with their initial funding." His gaze fell to the ground as if ashamed. "I know it sounds cliché, but it's made me rethink a lot of things, including how I feel about you." She bit her lip, an unexpected wave of warmth enveloping her. The memories of their friendship mingled with the thrill of new possibilities. Could this be real? "Dan, I don't know what to say." Before she could finish, he leaned closer. "Just give me a chance to prove it. I want to support you in every way. I know I haven't been around, but I'd like to be in your life again. You deserve to pursue your dreams fully, and I want to be a part of that journey." Ella's thoughts raced. She had just made a commitment to her art, to herself, and now this old friendship resurfaced as a new possibility. The tug-of-war within her heart was palpable. As her silence stretched on, the porch light flickered, casting shifting shadows around them. She glanced back toward the house, where Jake's figure loomed like a steadfast reminder of her evolving life. "I need time, Dan,"
she finally said, her voice trembling but resolute.
Time to figure out what all of this means. Dan nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes, but his expression didn't falter. I'll wait, Ella. Just think about it. As he stepped away into the night, Ella felt the weight of choices pressing down on her. She turned back to the house, the warmth of her mother's support, the comforting presence of Jake. Yet the spark of change flickered brightly. What would she choose in the morning light? And how would both paths intertwine in her newly blossomed life? Ella took a deep breath, ready to uncover the layers of her own heart and dreams, even if it meant confronting the weight of love. A love that had just begun to show its face again. As dawn broke the next day, the world felt fresh and alive. Sunlight poured through Ella's bedroom window, illuminating the once shadowy corners of her thoughts. She stirred awake, the memories of the gala flooding back. The whispers, her mother's fierce love, Jake's unwavering support, and Dan's unexpected return. Each moment swirled like a kaleidoscope, filling her heart with a mix of hope and uncertainty. After a quick shower and a moment of staring into the mirror, she wore her newfound confidence like a badge of honor, ready to step into whatever the day might bring. Ella picked up her phone and stared at the screen. There was a message from Jake. "Hey Ella, thinking of you. Let's squeeze some coffee in before the day gets crazy." She smiled at his message, warmth blossoming in her chest. They had shared a night of quiet understanding, and her heart felt lighter knowing he'd be there. Just as she typed a response, another notification flashed. A message from Dan too. "Hey, can we talk? I know I just left, but I've been thinking." The mix of emotions tightened around her. Ella let out a shaky breath. This day promised complications, but she couldn't shy away anymore. She wouldn't. After quickly pulling on her favorite sweater, she grabbed her bag and set off to meet Jake at the small cafe down the street. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee surrounded her as soon as she stepped inside. She spotted Jake at a corner table, a radiant smile illuminating his face when he saw her. "Hey you," he greeted, motioning for her to join him. "You look amazing." Ella felt a rush of happiness at his words. "Thanks, I feel different, lighter." Jake raised an eyebrow, his expression inviting her to share. "Tell me everything." With confidence building like a warm wave, she relayed the events of the previous night. The gala, her mother's shift, and Dan's unexpected arrival. Each word was a brushstroke on a canvas of her newfound freedom. She embraced vulnerability as she spoke about her dreams for art and the uncertainty of rekindling an old flame. Jake listened intently, leaning forward, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. "You've come so far, Ella. All of this shows how strong you are. And if you need to talk with Dan, that's okay. This is your journey." "But what if it complicates things?" she asked, anxiety creeping back in. "What if it hurts you? I want you to be happy." He reached across the table, grasping her hand with a gentle yet firm grip. "No matter who it's with, whether it's me or someone else, I want what's best for you." His words wrapped around her, giving her courage. Still, the idea of Dan lingered, stirring an old familiarity mixed with new uncertainty. "I just don't know how to navigate this. How do we—" "Just take it one step at a time," Jake encouraged softly. "Be honest, with yourself, with him, and with me. That's all you really have to do." Suddenly, Ella's phone buzzed again. Another message from Dan requested her to meet at their high school park, the one where they had navigated joys and heartbreaks together. As she read the message, her heart beat faster. The invitation felt right but daunting. "I think I need to meet Dan. We've been through a lot together, and I owe it to him to talk." Jake's expression shifted, but he maintained his supportive demeanor. "I get it. Just remember what you want. You're not confined to someone else's expectations." She took a deep breath. "You're right. I'm learning how to define my own expectations." They finished their coffees in quiet contemplation, the loaded afternoon air wrapping around them, until they felt the nudge of urgency, a subtle reminder of the time. "Ella, no matter what happens today, remember that your journey is just beginning. Take that leap," Jake said, before walking her to the cafe entrance. Ella smiled, gratitude filling her heart. "Thank you, Jake. I couldn't have done this without you." As she approached the park, memories flooded her senses. The laughter of their childhood, the softness of summer days, the tension of unspoken feelings. The sun filtered softly through the trees, casting dappled patterns on the grass. When she spotted Dan waiting at their usual spot, her chest tightened. He looked nervous yet hopeful, shifting under the bright light. Ella approached slowly, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. "Hey, thanks for coming," he said, his voice slightly shaky. "Of course," she replied, the warmth between them undeniable. "I've had a lot on my mind." "Me too," he confessed, taking a step closer. "I've missed you, Ella, a lot. I've watched you grow in ways I never thought possible,
and it's inspired me to reconnect with my own dreams. Ella felt a warmth spread through her. I'm finding my way, but it's complicated. I don't know where we fit in that. Dan nodded, expression earnest. You don't have to decide everything right now. I'd like us to be in each other's lives again. Just take it slow. She paused, allowing the idea to settle within her. A spark of excitement ignited, intertwining with her hesitations. I'd like that too, she finally said, her voice steady. As long as we both understand we're both still figuring things out.
Their eyes met, and something healed in that shared gaze. The love and friendship swirled together, marking the start of a new chapter. When Ella left the park, she felt lighter. It was more than just a conversation. It was a promise to herself. She was redefining her life, not just as an artist, but as a person worthy of love. As the sun dipped below the horizon, wrapping the day in hues of orange and gold, Ella realized that she was no longer bound by fear or expectation. Now, she was truly free. What an overwhelming world awaited her, one where love could be honest, open, and vibrant, thriving in the spaces where both dreams and courage intertwined. And as Ella took a deep breath, she felt ready for it all. This was just the beginning. Now it was your turn to step into a new chapter. If you're inspired by Ella's journey of hope and courage, don't wait. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that will warm your heart. Drop a like now to feed the algorithm and light up this community with positivity and inspiration. Comment below your reactions, your thoughts, your own journeys of transformation. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to feel that spark of hope. True fans know the importance of supporting our channel, so let's do this together.